What's up, A to Z Sports live on a Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend and a busy week ahead as the NFL Combine kicks off in Indianapolis. Later on today in A to Z Sports, we'll have a ton of coverage from Indy at the NFL Combine 2024's draft season gets deeper and deeper. And now we're getting closer to that official start of free agency. And one important date began last week. The franchise tag window opened, and Tee Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals officially received his franchise tag at 8 o'clock Central Time just about 11 or 12 minutes ago. It was reported before the weekend began the Bengals were told Tee Higgins that he was going to get the franchise tag, but now it is officially official, and I have the Titans' best tactic to trade for Bengals franchise tagged wide receiver Tee Higgins. So we'll ask you guys, would you be in for a trade or no trade for the Tennessee Titans and acquiring a weapon that Brian Callahan has used a lot over the last 4 seasons out of Clemson, a state of Tennessee native growing up in the Oak Ridge area of East Tennessee. So Tee Higgins officially gets the franchise tag just this morning after learning about the potential last week. So we'll talk all about that. And Zach, I'm sure it's going to be a pretty interesting show, but the timing of this is very interesting. So we'll get this thing going here on a Monday before we get to the age game. So a bunch of Tee Higgins talk here today. Welcome in.
Yeah, and as Patrick says, it's Combine week. So, Super Bowl champions are done. Now we got a new season. You got on the horizon, at least officially. But you've got Combine, you've got free agency, you've got draft talk, you got mini camps, OTAs, and then you blink twice, and all of a sudden it's training camp. So we're diving into that, and we'll have more Combine coverage throughout the week. Today is Tee Higgins. That is a hot name because of the association with Brian Callahan. So we'll get everybody's opinion. We are broadcasting live on 3 different platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We will tweet out segment by segment, link by link on our Twitter/X handle at A to Z Sports. May have also another announcement coming today. So keep it locked on your Twitter handle. Be on Twitter today. That's all I will tell you. Be on Twitter today, and then we'll officially probably talk about that tomorrow morning. So heading into the Combine week, we got a lot to talk to. This show will be tweeted out on our Twitter handle. Follow us there. We'll tweet out our YouTube link so you could subscribe to our YouTube. 3 things you got to do: subscribe, like, and then put your alerts on. Your alerts are key because we don't go live exactly once the clock strikes 8. We may be 8:05, maybe 8:09, maybe 8:11, maybe 8:01. Who knows? But when you have that alert on YouTube, you don't need to worry about it. You get alerted. That's right there on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and hit that bell. And Facebook, what's going on? Facebookers, bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. We need you guys to share the show. How that works is you guys tell your Facebook friends, jump on in, share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends' timeline. So let's get this party started on a Monday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcoming the A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for all of our great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the mid-state, Columbia, in Murfreesboro, and in Franklin. They're online at KrebsKubota.com. So Nate's burner has a guess for what Zach teased for Twitter, because Zach says, be on Twitter today. And Nate says, Sam got cut and you're announcing it on Twitter. That's savage. No, we don't know what Sam's outcome. Sam, athlete, tried out for the Arena League team, the Nashville Cats, on Saturday as a quarterback. We teased that video Saturday on our social media. So we don't know what Sam's fate is, if he'll get a training camp invite or not. According to Sam Phelan, he was a top 5 quarterback there. And he said there were 9 or 10 quarterbacks. So We'll have to hear from Sam more about
how
his
many do they keep on the roster, though?
See, they already had
Maybe
quarterbacks
5
that were on the team. Maybe, but really fun story and content we're going to get out of that. So keep your ears peeled there for more Sam tryout content there. So like the show, like Timmy did, appreciate that. But Zach, it is now a big time of the year because the combine is this week. You've got 5 or 6 days of NFL, the entire NFL, minus a few Shanahan and Tree head coaches at the combine. And then you've got all the business that happens. And the Bengals officially hitting their wide receiver, Tee Higgins, with the franchise tag officially this morning. Tee Higgins is the first NFL player to get the franchise tag this offseason. There's a lot of different reasons on why they got the franchise tag on Tee Higgins, but we've been talking about this, and there's been reporting around it for a while that Tee Higgins, second-round draft pick several years ago, just finished his 4th NFL season, the last year of his rookie deal. Obviously, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are going to get paid a lot of money. Joe Burrow got his extension this past offseason right before the season began, and Jamar Chase is about to go into his extension summer. So we kind of expected Tee Higgins to be the biggest franchise tag candidate, but the Bengals make him the first NFL player to get it, $21 million on the franchise tag for the wide receiver position officially this year.
Well, when you tag somebody, you value them, right? Or they're valued within the league. So you could play 2 games, and we've seen this, but you don't have any, like, we've seen storylines in the NFL where franchises will use tags as an opportunity to either kind of shut a player up, kind of put them to the side, and they'll deal with them later to negotiate a bigger contract. Teams will also strategize to say, we only think that you have a couple of years left, or you're worth the money of the top 5 position. We don't want you going somewhere else. That's why we're going to tag you. Now, the unique part is he's coming out of his first rookie deal. He's played superb. He's played very well. He compliments Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati offense very well. And that will develop as Zach Taylor's still the head coach, but as we know, Brian Callahan, the offensive coordinator, is now with Tennessee. There's also you tag a player because you really like him. And they tagged him early, very, very early. And they didn't really give the time to negotiate, right? You tagged them. So that's 10 days that you could have been talking to the agent to get a long-term deal done. This tells me they're not interested in doing that. We're going to go ahead and set those 10 days aside. We are going to tag you. That's our decision. And there it is. Now, I don't know what the negotiations have been with Tee Higgins and his agent and the Bengals side. So we don't know the nuances of that. But, I mean, 10 days. So it's kind of tough. It's hard to read because the NFL teams do this for many different reasons.
No, I think it's honestly fairly easy to read. And I think you're spot on with something. And Paul Denner, who covers the Bengals for The Athletic, published this. The timing is what stands out here. Clubs just received the franchise tag values Friday afternoon. There was also the massive spike in salary cap raise and his value, Tee Higgins' tag value of $21.8 million. So essentially, the moment they knew the amount to turn in, they turned it in. This almost never happens with players that end up tagged. Typically, negotiations go up until the deadline day, which is March 5th for the franchise tag, trying to hammer out a long-term deal before resorting to the tag. This confirms the Bengals haven't ever viewed a long-term contract with Higgins as realistic, given the contracts of Burrow and future extension with Jamar Chase. Interestingly, as one league source mentioned to Paul Denner, for his 4-part series on the path ahead, the early tag could also be placed as a message to other teams that if they're interested in a tag and trade for Higgins, bring those offers over. If the Bengals went that route, they would prefer a deal complete before free agency opens, which is March 11th. And given the complexity of the path, trading also has that long-term extension with the new team. There's benefits in adding more time for that option to develop, specifically doing so before the conversation of teams and agents next week at the NFL Combine. Now, this week, the most likely scenario is that Higgins plays out this year on the tag for the Bengals, but the timing opens the door for a further tag and trade deal. So you kind of nailed it with what you're saying there, is that there is 10 plus days right now before this deadline day for the franchise tag decisions. And now you're entering Monday, where everybody in the NFL is gathering in Indianapolis for spring break at the NFL Combine. And there's a bunch of stuff that happens at the convention center, at Lucas Oil Stadium. But there's also a lot of stuff that happens and gets talked about at the restaurants and bars of Indianapolis when the sun goes down. And that's where deals like this happen. If we rewind a little bit, remember John Robinson comes in as Titans GM. All of a sudden, the Titans trade for DeMarco Murray. Where did that happen? Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. So all these trade conversations really get going now that everybody's in one room together. And so the Bengals are sending a very clear message is that, hey, bring it on over. Bring the offers over for a trade because, the salary cap expands to 255. The Bengals can afford to tag him and let him play for $21.8 million. But there's a great chance that they can just say, hey, let's go ahead and get something for this guy because as a former second-round pick, Tee Higgins has been everything you'd want. But now they have Jamar Chase, and that's just something where you have to make a tough decision where both players are great and they can help Joe Burrow get back to the Super Bowl, but that's a lot of money.
Well, and that Jamar Chase is the X factor. Well, Joe Burrow is the ultimate X factor because you haven't paid him, right? Jalen Hurts has gotten paid. Justin Herbert has gotten paid. Patrick Mahomes has gotten paid. Josh Allen, all those guys have gotten paid. Joe Burrow is, you sit there on top of Joe Burrow. He just got his contract this past year. That's right. Jamar Chase is waiting, right? Yeah. So you have to pay Burrow and Chase, which are 1 and 2, both valuable, right? The number 2 guy is usually the guy that leaves. It's kind of like, I was thinking about, you kind of made me think of, and I know the league calendar year hasn't started, but like Christian Kirk goes to the Jags and gets a dump truck of money, right? And he's below 1,000-yard wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He gets all of that money. And now you got to start making decisions based on that. Can Tee Higgins go and get Christian Kirk dump truck type money? I mean, I think so, right? I think he's probably one of the most valuable wide receivers in this free agency. And the connection with the Titans is unique, but a tag also sends a message. I don't disagree with you, Austin, but doesn't it also send a backup message that we're willing to possibly keep him?
No, but that's what Paul Dinner is saying. It's this is the reporting that's happening right there. And says this almost never happens. This confirms the Bengals haven't ever viewed a long-term contract with Higgins as a realistic possibility given the future contracts of Burrow and Chase. And so that's what Paul Dinner has been saying for a while, and other Bengals reporters, our John Sheeran, this has kind of been out there of like, I don't think the Bengals can do this because let's look at the numbers. The salary cap is $255 million this year. Well, next year, 2025 is where this kicks in because in 2025, Joe Burrow's cap hit is going to be $46 million. It's $30 million this year, but it's going to go up to 46, then 48, then 52. And so now you're talking about Tee Higgins having a high cap in 2025 potentially as well, and signing Jamar Chase. So you're talking about Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow could have a cap hit in 2025 and 2026, around $70 million in each of those years. That's such a massive chunk of your salary cap space for two great players. But
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce currently do that.
Yeah, I know that. But then what they do? Traded Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. There is always a third piece that can never stay. Yes. They move on to a different team. It's just how it's superstars, right? Quarterback being one, which is the most expensive commodity in the National Football League. And really, as we've seen running backs go this way, wide receivers and Tyreek Hill, speaking of, setting the line at $30 million a year, those are the type of guys that demand the most amount of money, probably besides defensive ends and pass rushers, right?
Yep, no doubt. All right, so let's get to that. Our question officially: trade or no trade? Should the Titans attempt to trade for franchise tagged wide receiver Tee Higgins? Trade or no trade is our question today regarding franchise tag receiver Tee Higgins. It officially became official this morning. We'll get to your answers on this one, but also got to tell you guys about Krebs Kubota. Man, it feels like spring outside. It's gonna be like 73 degrees today in Nashville, which means that the projects outside around your home and your property, you're going to start noticing what you got to get doing, what you got to get to work on here this spring. And you can do that with Krebs Kubota in your corner. KrebsKubota.com is where to go. They are the region's best, the Middle Tennessee's best equipment provider and dealer. They're also an elite Kubota dealer, which means they have the best equipment in the industry, but also the best warranties in the industry for that equipment. They can help you out. They can get you what you need on the right way to pay for it, the right way to finance that. Or if you just need to rent it for the weekend project, no sweat off your back there. You can do that with Krebs Kubota. They have the best customer service in the industry as well across Middle Tennessee because of their family-owned and operated approach that allowed them to expand from just Columbia to adding Murfreesboro and Franklin on top of it with those store locations there too. Or online, start there at KrebsKubota.com.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today, right there, as you see that on the screen. The NFL was miserable to me. I'll be honest. I lost a good amount of money. But college basketball and the NBA, I have gotten my groove back. Thanks to BetMGM. A big-time weekend for your boy over here with Nikola Jokic going way over points, assists, and rebounds yesterday against the Golden State Warriors, which is a great pick. I gave Austin a free pick last week, and it cashed. And I said, this is the biggest pick of the week. Boom. FAU. I've been watching the Owls. Woo, woo. I've been watching the Owls all year long. They didn't play very well against Memphis. I'm going to save my shade for tomorrow. That actually thought of my shade. I now have my shade. I'm going to lock it in. I have no shade on BetMGM. You shouldn't either. Download the app today.
All right. So, trade or no trade? That is the question. Trade or no trade as the Bengals officially franchise tag wide receiver Tee Higgins. So that is the move that it became official this morning on Monday. That they have franchise tagged in. That means Tee Higgins, the franchise tag for wide receivers, $21.8 million. Paul Dinner of The Athletic, who covers the Bengals, mentioning the timing important. 10 days before the tag deadline, he gets the tag, which didn't allow for them to negotiate a long-term deal. That doesn't seem in the plans. You tag the player before the combine so you can talk about trading the player at the combine. So trade or no trade for the Titans for wide receiver Tee Higgins. Zach, I'll send you to the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, which, by the way, we need way more likes today. So hit those likes.
There you go. You heard it there first. Carl says trade. Titans Cal says no trade. Stay away. John says trade. No trade from Michael. So we got back and forth. Hell no from Sam the Man. No trade from Lou Man. Eric says no trade. No trade from Ashley. No trade for John. No trade from Big G. No trade from Buck Spurner. He's not a wide receiver one. And then you have DeAndre Hopkins that happened over the last several days. Sat there and say cap on he was looking to go to another team. So you would expect that DeAndre Hopkins, who had a really good year with the Titans in two-tone blue, team didn't, but DeAndre Hopkins did, with especially the carousel of quarterbacks and Will Levis making some connections there. DeAndre Hopkins and that's who you're trying to find out. Who is the and? I don't think it's Kyle Phelps. Clayton Smith says nope. No trade right there from Guy. No trade from Brian. No trade. Get neighbors from Curtis. Let's see. No trade right there. David says no trade. Linwood says no trade. Denise, no trade. Kevin is open, or Kevin is not open. Brock is. Brock says trade. No trade from Andre. So I think overwhelmingly, we got a hell no from Kane. No trade. Overwhelmingly, we definitely have more no trades than trade.
Mm-hmm.
Billy says, here's the stipulation. You trade if the draft pick is next year. I don't know if you want to do that. I want to address Billy's comment real quick. And this is not really for Billy. This is a generic thing. You want to be careful about trading future picks because The Titans, presumably, probably not going to be Super Bowl contenders where they're going to be picking 27th, 28th, 29th. So you got to consider you could be picking very well, and trading away future picks could be trading away very valuable picks. So I think you got to be very careful there. The chat saying no trade overall. Austin, are you trade or no trade?
Well, real quick, I did throw up a poll on our YouTube because we have the ability to do that. So, it's just I threw up the poll like 2 minutes ago. We've already got 52 votes, 81% no trade.
Yeah,
from the YouTube.
I think overall, that's probably what it is.
So I don't want to go first, Zach. I would like you to go first here because I've got my tactic that I want to dive deeper into. So I would like to know your answer: trade or no trade for Tee Higgins if you're the Tennessee Titans.
I am with the chat 100%. The chat is correct.
81%.
Don't get fooled by the googly eyes of Tee Higgins. If you can get him in free agency and just negotiate, but that's not happening, right? Based on what we talked about at the beginning of the show, there's strategy there. Don't trade for Tee Higgins. There are plenty of other pieces that you can get. I get the connection of Brian Callahan, and I think Brian Callahan values the wide receiver position more so than probably most across the NFL because what he saw in Cincinnati. But I think you're going to have to give up, and I would say if it's current picks or if it's future picks, those picks are going to be too valuable for Rand Carthon. You can sit here and preach, and you also have to admit Rand is the man. It's not necessarily Brian. Brian can sit there and Cali Boy can sit there and sell you on all the stuff about Tee Higgins. But Rand has got to think about what his draft commodities are in the now and in the future. And Austin, look at this draft class. Very top heavy, which you have a top pick, a higher pick. Mm-hmm. Very top heavy with very talented wide receivers. Now, I've said my piece on where they should probably go in the first round based on their team needs, but their team needs are top two offensive line and wide receiver. They need both of those positions. I think that there's value in the later rounds that you can go out. Cal Phillips, not really worried about him. Traylon Burks, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with him. He's on a rookie deal, and he's underperformed, to say the least. But you look at the free agent market, and I think you really look at the draft, and I don't necessarily trade for Tee Higgins to a team that is in the AFC that on top of trading, Austin, the figure that you're going to have to pay Tee Higgins, because Tee Higgins is going to want to negotiate a long-term contract, that he is a number one wide receiver.
Well, I think the contract projection.
He's a number one wide receiver, not you, but you in general.
You
as the team. Yeah. You definitely don't trade for him and then pay him as a number one wide receiver.
Well, I think that you can because of what DeAndre Hopkins' situation is. I think
he's
can
there
pay
for a year.
Who? What?
Hopkins.
Yeah, it was for one more year, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, but our contract projection for A to Z Sports has Tee Higgins at 3 years for $70 million. That's about 24 or so, $23.5 million average. That's something the Titans can do. And I've said this before.
No, they can do whatever the hell they want. They got 70 plus million. That's not an argument of they can. Of course they can. Is this the smart thing to do to go trade assets for a number two, maybe a number one wide receiver? He'll have to prove himself in that position and pay him that astronomical money. I'll say one thing before I get your opinion. My last thing is, the Bengals just showed you how you get Tee Higgins. The Titans already showed you how you get a Tee Higgins type player. You draft his ass. You don't go trade and pay his ass.
Yeah, I think that we know the Titans have massive needs on offense. It's to fix the offensive line and to get Will Levis more weapons. And I think you are more likely to overpay for a lesser player on the offensive line in free agency than you are to overpay a lesser player at wide receiver in free agency. I think it's the smarter way to go wide receiver in free agency when compared to O-line in free agency. So I think I would, I'm just giving my
Pay
philosophy
versus
on it.
trade, though.
No, I understand, but you're having to do both. I don't discredit that. So, and I have a specific situation of where I want to get to with this. Now, I do want to say this. There has been, in this article that I'm reading from was published a few years ago, but the one wide receiver that was notable that was franchise tagged and traded was Jarvis Landry in 2017's after 2017 season. Jarvis Landry was the NFL's leader in receptions in 2017, and they tagged him and traded him the last year of his rookie contract as a second-round pick. So the same contract situation that Tee Higgins is in. They tagged Landry and traded him to the Browns. Now, the Browns only gave up a 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick for Jarvis Landry. That's price has gone up like that. The Titans are not going to get away with a 4th rounder and a 7th rounder for Tee Higgins. And that's Jarvis Landry led the league in catches. Like that's crazy that year. So that's different. So I do have, my answer is trade for Tee Higgins if you can follow the tactic that I'm about to share with everybody. So I have the best tactic for the Titans to trade for Tee Higgins. But first, Zach, tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, Farm Bureau Health Plans. We love FBHP. We've been with them and partnered with them for now a number of years. And that tells you everything that you need to know is we've been a partner with Farm Bureau Health Plans each and every year. I have had their coverage each and every year that I've been talking about them. And they've been reliable and we've been reliable. It's been a great partnership. And you see Farm Bureau Health Plans all across the state of Tennessee, whether it's in advertisements and marketing, but really it's the people and the Tennesseans that they help year in and year out. Health, dental, and vision. Your perfect plan is Farm Bureau Health Plans. You just have to go find it. And how you find it is you go to FBHC or FBHP.com/A to Z. You go online, you take a health assessment, you get a call, and in 24 to 48 hours, you get a quote. And once you get that quote, you look at the plan, you compare it to your old plan. It's free of charge. They're not going to charge you anything to go create a plan for you. They did that for me. I compared my plans and I said, woof, my old plan blows, to be honest. This Farm Bureau Health Plan is unbelievable. It has helped me save money. I saved 12% right out of the gate. It gives me better coverage, health, dental, and vision. And I've been with them ever since. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. They've been in business over 75 years. They can be trusted. Get a quote today.
Also with BetMGM, you can always win big with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. That gets you the first bet offer where you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's for new users. Hey, existing users, Zach, you, even a wager that misses can be a slam dunk with BetMGM, an authorized gaming partner of the NBA. Just log into your account today and you get an NBA same game parlay insurance token. Add an NBA same game parlay with at least 3 legs to your bet slip. Activate the token. If you lose, you'll get your stake back in bonus bets up to the amount specified on the token. So don't sweat that missed shot or missed rebound right there. An NBA same game parlay insurance token with BetMGM. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only. Existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification, eligible requirements. Rewards issued eligible bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for public game sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. So Zach, we're asking the question, no trade or trade for Tee Higgins. I say the Titans should be interested in trading for Tee Higgins, but you have to do it after this NFL draft. And by entering this cannot be this is not like something you're putting your off season on. Like this is not an all in, a bunch of chips on trading for Tee Higgins. This has to be a part of a bigger picture, but a move that you have to be okay with not getting Tee Higgins in a trade. So as Paul Dinner mentioned from The Athletic, you've got the Bengals tagging him with 10 days left on the trade deadline for the tag. You go to the combine, you tell the Bengals, we want to trade for Tee Higgins. Here's our first offer. And you give them an offer that they probably might think about, but they're probably not going to accept. And if another team comes in before the draft and trades for Tee Higgins because they outbid you, so be it. That's okay. But after the draft, after the Titans use their 7th overall pick, and their 38th overall pick in the second round. Now go back to the Bengals if he hasn't been traded yet and say, hey, here's what we'll do. We'll give you picks in 2025 to trade for Tee Higgins. Now you can go get an offensive lineman at 7. Maybe you get a corner or another offensive lineman at 38. And now you go try to trade for Tee Higgins to help out your young quarterback, Will Levis. You bring in a guy that Brian Callahan is confident in, who he trusts, and in free agency, bringing in players that you trust is so important so you don't get guys that come after the bag. And you get guys that will fit your system. And Tee Higgins has talked about Brian Callahan a lot in the media over the last couple of years of how much he likes him. And so it's a culture fit, it's a player fit, and it's a football fit. But you have to wait until after the draft to do it and be okay if Tee Higgins goes somewhere else in a trade before the draft or if the Bengals just say no. But yeah, I'm okay with a trade for Tee Higgins.
Austin, I'll be honest, I hate it. And the main reason why I hate it is, can you read that green number at the bottom?
Plus 15,000.
Plus 15,000. You're going to have to pay Tee Higgins a lot more than $15,000. Maybe at $15,000 a yard he gains. That may be how much you have to pay him. But Austin, the Titans are not, they're not going to be very good this year. Like, they may, but the odds, I'll throw that up there, Mr. Green, Mean Green, the odds, Vegas is pretty good. Say that they're not going to be much of anything. Why? Is because they have an unproven quarterback. So, Austin, you're telling me that after this draft, you know what picks you have, at least right now, heading into this year's draft. Mm-hmm. Austin, you're going to end up trading away and being the Carolina Panthers. You're going to have a number 1 pick. And you know what? You're not going to do a damn thing about it. Or if you're going to have a second round pick that's going to be right there at the top, you could have the pick of the litter. You're doing that in a terrible year. And Tee Higgins is not the X factor, Austin, to get you anywhere you need to go. What you want is building blocks. In a best case scenario, it's February, but you want Will Levis to take steps. You want opportunity. Mm-hmm. CJ Stroud has done that this past year. Trevor Lawrence did that a couple of years ago. Taking steps. That's all you're asking Will Levis to do. The expectation is not to win the South. It's not to host a playoff game. It's not to get the AFC title. Sure as hell not to be a Super Bowl. But Austin, you're saying you're going to trade that away after the draft, and you're 15,000. I mean, that you're 15,000 right there. I think that, and on top of trading a future very good pick, presumably, you're going to have to pay this man. I guess here, this is what I'll ask. How much do you think after you trade and give up possibly, and I don't even know what round we're talking, but it's going to be at the top of that round because that's probably where the Titans are going to be picking like they have the last 2 seasons. Like they have the last 2 seasons. And then on top of that, how much are you going to have to pay this man?
I'm not worried about paying him. Like, I think that the Titans shouldn't. This is the time for the Titans to invest in money in players around Will Levis because Will Levis is so cheap.
No, I get what you're saying there. This is the time to set the foundational pieces by drafting well, and trading away draft picks are not the way to do that. You've said that yourself numerous times. How you win the Super Bowl is you draft very well. Why Tee Higgins and the Cincinnati Bengals are even in this situation is because they drafted very well. The Titans, if they drafted A.J. Brown very well, and then they screwed that pooch. But, like, that's how you win. Trading away draft picks to pay an astronomical amount of money to a wide receiver that is kind of an unproven number 1 wide receiver. He hasn't had the opportunity yet, right? So I'll give him that. But this makes zero sense to me. I whether it's now or later, and you can take that as what you want.
And so, like, to go back, there is no way the Tennessee Titans should give up a draft pick in 2024's draft for Tee Higgins. That would be malpractice. So I just understand where I'm at there. But I think in 2025's draft, where you have some flexibility, I get what you're saying. Your opinion is the Titans will be picking like top 5 next year.
Yeah, top 5. Even if it's top 10, The last 2 years, they've been right around the top 10. That's
7
where
and
you
1.
get value. You know what, Austin? Because what did they do? With a top 10 pick in the second round, it gives you flexibility to move up Will Levis to get your guy. But when you're picking 17th or middle of the road, you don't have that. And the Titans are probably not going to be middle of the road. They're going to be towards the bottom of the league just based on where they are. They reset. They fired their head coach. They got rid of their quarterback. They got rid of their franchise player and their running back, their key piece. They now gave the keys to their general manager, and they hired a new offensive-minded head coach. I think these are okay. These are good decisions. I'm not saying they're bad decisions. But you can't just play and shoot from the hip from the Wild Wild West now that you've changed and say, let's go trade away picks that they earned by losing games and go pay Tee Higgins that I think is going to be overpaid.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tee Higgins.
No, but like by a wide margin, and he's going to be thrown into a number one wide receiver position.
Which
and
is
he
why
hasn't
I
proved
think
that he can do that.
Well, yeah, because he's been next to Jamar Chase. Like, it's just like I'm not holding Tee Higgins or that against Tee Higgins at all. You know, I also think having Tee Higgins on this team with one more year of DeAndre Hopkins and having it be Levis, D-Hop, and Higgins and Spears, I think I'm trying to build something for 2025, 2026 rather than 2024. I understand your point there, but I agree with Trey a little bit. Like, the roster's not even set, and you're having the Titans picking top 5 or top 10. Like, I don't necessarily know if I can believe that. Again, I'm saying the only way to trade for Tee Higgins is after this year's draft. I'm saying the month of May. There is so much that is going to happen before the month of May in the NFL and for the Tennessee Titans. They've got $78 million of cap space now that the cap has officially been set at $255.4. They've got a 7th overall pick, the 38th overall pick to go with it too. There's a lot of different ways that the Titans can improve their roster before you get to this Tee Higgins trade that I'm suggesting being interested in. So you don't know what they're going to be.
But Austin, don't play naive. We know where the Titans are going to be. And if they're not there, if they're not at the bottom 10 of the league, which is the lower third, I think the Titans right now and probably heading into the season will be a lower third team. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't know. I mean, I can't say anything right now. There's so much undone.
Like, I understand, but they're a lower third team. Okay, so my point is they're a lower third team, in my opinion. I'll say that, and in Vegas's opinion. But where you go spend your money is once you find a true full 17-game season on Will Levis. Because if he overperforms, right, now you then go pay the money for a free agent wide receiver without having to draft or without having to trade, like you're saying, next year. If Will Levis struggles and the Titans struggle, you go draft a top 7-5 wide receiver next year after you've drafted an offensive tackle this year. Like, that is sensible to me.
Sure, it is. I don't disagree that that's not sensible. Like, and one, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for Tee Higgins. A.J. Brown got a first-round pick. Tyreek Hill got first-round pick. Tee Higgins' numbers are not anywhere near what those guys are.
Towards the top of the second round for Tee Higgins next year?
If it's a second-round pick, then maybe the Titans also get a late-round pick in return. I don't
want that. If I'm the Titans, I don't want that.
I guess here's my thought, is because the Titans have been here before. Zach, they're coming off of a god-awful year where they're picking really high. They had a rookie quarterback. You like what you saw in moments of the rookie quarterback, and they had a coaching change. The Titans have been here before, and let's kind of revisit what happened the last time we saw the Titans in this situation that's pretty much like looking into a mirror. But first, let me tell you guys all about our great friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know where to go. It's the Bone and Joint Institute. If you get that lingering pain, maybe it's your back, your shoulder, your knee, your hip, you're not really sure what's going on, but you make those grunting noises when you get up off the couch at night to slumber back in bed, go get it taken care of. Don't just let that sit there and be pain for no reason. Go to the Bone and Joint Institute. They can identify what's causing you problems and help you fix it, whether it's just at-home rehab, the rehab facilities on campus right there in Franklin, or if it's surgery, they've got the best that can do it in the region. The region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, download the BetMGM app today. They were a great value to me over the weekend. They can be a great value to you. The NBA is back now that the All-Star break is going. Trade deadline is ahead, so we got NBA action. College basketball is heating up. Had some big games. Hey, Tennessee first half, Tennessee full line over the weekend. Go Vols go over the Aggies as the Aggies had to dribble that basketball out at the end. There's a winner right there.
I missed my same game parlay by a half point, so I'm not worried. I'm not happy about that dribble.
Yikes, that's tough. But hey, bonus code ATOZ Sports. Download the BetMGM app today. They will hook you up in many different ways in your Apple and Android app store.
All right, so Zach, I've talked about the only way I can see the Titans trading for Tee Higgins is to do it after this upcoming draft, right? And you don't like that because you think the Titans are going to be a bottom third NFL team at best, which is picking 11th, 12th, something around there, 10, 11, 12, or higher in the draft, right? Top 10 or 11, 12 pick. So the Titans have been in the situation before. 2015, they have a rookie quarterback in Marcus Mariota. They're god-awful. Ken Whisenhunt gets fired, and they're like the worst team in the NFL, right? And then they bring in Mike Mularkey, not like a super impressive hire, and a new GM, and all of a sudden, they put together an offseason that looks pretty good. They put together some free agents. They make a trade for DeMarco Murray. They reset their identity fast, and then all of a sudden, they go 9-7. Because the quarterback takes a massive step the next year in year 2. There's a better setup from an organizational standpoint and strategy. They drafted well across the board in that 2016 draft to put themselves in a great situation to make a jump going from a 2-win team to a 9-win team. Are the Titans going to be a 9-win team next year? I don't know. But I'm not as low as you are on what they can do because of the opportunity of cap space and draft capital that they can set up around Will Levis with an offensive-minded head coach to take a step.
Look, the key is Will Levis. He could be unbelievable in year 2. He could be the and look, Gannon. I was going to bring this up because it goes to this conversation. You have no clue, Zach. You weren't thinking Houston was great at this point last year. That was the two-side example that I gave. Nobody thought, but you know what Houston did, Gannon? Let's look at it. Do you know how much cap space the Houston Texans currently have?
A lot. They're like top 6 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah. They are number 6, $73 million. So the Texans took the same approach, Gannon. You have no effing clue. And that's the reason why.
They also traded.
They had a top 2 pick. They traded draft picks to get, and that was a risk, but they targeted their quarterback that they wanted, and then they targeted the best
their defensive
non-quarterback in the draft, right?
Their defensive captain for the next 8 years.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, right. Derek Brooks, right? So they did that, but they also knew that they weren't going to spend up all of their cap on this big-time wide receiver until they found out more about their quarterback. All I'm asking the Titans in this situation is to find out more about your quarterback in Will Levis. And then next year, that's where you have the flexibility. And this is the key, the flexibility to do one or the other. If Will Levis wins 9 games, Austin, now you can go out and you don't have to trade for any picks. You can go out and target a free agent wide receiver that you like and pay him the money that you feel suitable, right? Because every year there's going to be free agent wide receivers. It's just how the league works. Mm-hmm. If Will Levis is not good, that's when you draft, because you've got to protect Will Levis first. That is the number one goal of this franchise's being currently, now, and every single day until free agency and the draft happen, is protect number 8 at all costs so he didn't get rolled up on and out for however many games that he was out every single week, struggling through.
Like
you
the previous
cannot have that happen, right?
Yeah.
So that's priority number 1. But you kind of take the Texans' approach is we're going to be bad. The Deshaun Watson thing is a curveball, so I that can't go into it. But what they did is they knew that they were going to have cap space in the future. They found out about their quarterback, which is C.J. Stroud, which we know what he is, at least in the short term. Now they can go in and compliment Take Dell, compliment Nico, compliment Dalton Schultz, right? And you can
that was their free agent weapon, right? Was Schultz, the tight end, to help.
And they didn't have to trade anything for him, and they gave him like a short-term deal in that sense.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is Tee Higgins is going to demand a future, probably more draft picks than you want, and the value, as you say, you're not in Jarvis Landry era. And on top of that, you're going to have to pay him a Brinks truck. Like, how much do you think Tee Higgins is going to demand?
I mean, 20. I think if Tee Higgins gets the $70 million contract for over 3 years at A to Z Sports, Josh Keepo projected on our site, then I think that's something that sets Tee Higgins up, because a 3-year deal, which means he's hitting free agency again at like age 27. So he can earn another one. So I think Tee Higgins would be. I think that would be fun.
Here's another curveball. What are the wide receivers like Mike Evans, free agent? There's another big time wide receiver, free agency. They're going to Christian Kirk you by the time that you are trying to negotiate, Austin.
Yeah, but
they're going to drive the salary cap just went up, and they're going to drive the wide receiver market so high that when you actually pay in your scenario of trading this summer after the draft, you're going to have to pay exponentially more for this player that is an unproven wide receiver one that's going to demand more money.
Yeah, but again, like at that point, like you're having conversations and you know that he's an unproven wide receiver one, like you're saying, so he's not getting Mike Evans money.
You're going to get Christian Kirk. The wide receiver market's going to be out of this world.
But again, yes, and I think we'll talk about this some tomorrow of what the cap increase did to the Titans and why it might not be a good thing. But still, there's valid points to that. So I want to go back, because the trade or no trade question that we asked, you or no trade. Let me check the poll that we put up on YouTube. The poll is sitting there at 81%. So it stayed status at 81% for the no trade in the few minutes that it's been up here throughout the show. I don't think the Tennessee Titans should not make trading for Tee Higgins a high priority in this offseason. It has to be something that makes itself opportunistic after the draft. Your top priorities this offseason are going to get cornerbacks and other defensive players in free agency, get some quality starting level offensive linemen, then draft an offensive lineman or two in the top 38 picks, and then see where you're at with Tee Higgins in that situation after the draft in May, where if the Bengals haven't found the trade partner yet, maybe the Titans can swoop in and take advantage of that opportunity because of the Brian Callahan connection. You're getting somebody that can work within the system. So it's almost like a lower risk. I guess it's a lower risk group with the offense, the coaching staff, and the player, but you're going to have to give up some of that because of a trade and a contract.
And I think I understand what you're saying, lower risk. I think
on the field, lower risk.
You're going to get kirked, and then you're going to trade away a draft pick that you're probably going to regret. That's where I'm at.
I mean, maybe. And so again, it would be malpractice if the Titans trade away a 2024 draft pick for Tee Higgins. I stand by that. Do not do that. Approach it in May if Tee Higgins is still available for trade. And look, we'll figure this out. Remember, we were having similar conversations about Lamar Jackson around this time last year because Lamar Jackson and Ravens couldn't get anything figured out. Long-term contract. They put like the super exclusive franchise tag on him that would have given you like the Ravens 2 or 3 first-round picks if somebody signed him to an offer sheet. And then there was a trade potential. And I said, hey, wait until after the draft. Nobody's going to trade for Lamar Jackson pre-draft. Wait until after the draft to give up that capital there and see what happens. And so, again, wait and see. Be patient. Let Tee Higgins' value either go down or go up. And if it goes up too high, then fine. Move on. Don't be tied to it. It can't be a top
think the other
priority.
wide receivers are going to drive his value up.
Then that's fine. Then don't touch it. Then don't touch it. And that's totally cool. Like, again, it's not a top priority. It's an opportunistic way to approach it after the draft if you still have a hole to fill and the Bengals haven't found the partner yet.
Yeah, because I was looking at that. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to drive that market up. Mike
Calvin
Evans,
Ridley.
Obviously. And there's
Calvin
just
Ridley's
there are other guys that you can target.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to have shows about other free agents. We talked about Hollywood Brown last week, who was a free agent fit for the Titans via ESPN.com. So there's other things too. But Zach, there is a cliff. You just rolled your eyes big time at Hollywood Brown, right? There is a
No.
cliff.
I was. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about how much better Braxton Berrios would be than Kyle Phillips. That's why I was looking at this, and that was going through my mind. And I was like, man, yeah, Braxton Berrios. I mean, Kyle Phillips has just been, blah.
Yeah. So again, that's my take about it. It's I think let it play out. No rush to it. Let it play out. But there is a cliff that falls off with free agent wide receivers to where you're gonna have to overpay. Like Odell Beckham Jr. is kind of like a weird free agent thing right there. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, and
all right,
real quick, he's saying like Michael Pittman Jr. This is the fun of it, right? Like we're about to get into all of these decisions that have been made. The Bengals made the first move because of what we kind of talked about at the beginning of the show. What moves will be made after that, and then where the market will go. And as you said, tomorrow we'll talk about the salary cap and the impact of that. I saw Tress in the comments saying, and you have these like, you got, I'm not saying Tress is one of these. You got like flat earthers and you got people say that we never went to the moon and all of that. You have some people, and this is where Tress comes in, says that the salary cap isn't real. Like it will just keep going up. So you should just play that game as it goes and hope that there's not another worldwide pandemic.
Yeah, I think we're not due for another one of those until another 100 years.
Knock on wood. You're Mr. You got to knock on some wood after that.
Actually, I had a drink this weekend that was called a little stitious, on par with that. But all right, so Zach, we got a super chat to get here before Monday's age game. Andre says, I'd trade for and sign Higgins if the Titans are a playoff contender. You have 2 years to draft, and we'll draft well and grow this team. A future 23 mil number 2 wide receiver isn't a priority. So I think logical response there from Andre with the super chat.
Giving up a pick because you have a good football team and it's going to be a lower pick is okay. But when you have a team like the Titans that are in limbo and Vegas is telling you that you're a bottom third team, that's when it gets a little testy, trading away future picks.
Yeah, the hard thing is like, what are teams that are going to have cap space to trade for Tee Higgins? And the Kansas City
everybody
Chiefs
has a little bit more now.
Yeah, right. The Kansas City Chiefs are a team that you're like, God forbid Tee Higgins gets traded to the Kansas City Chiefs for the 64th overall pick in the draft. Nobody wants that to happen, okay? Because the Chiefs now have $28 million of cap space. How? Well, they're going to have to pay Chris Jones and maybe Snead or not, but they've got some things to take care of first.
Last thing before we get to the age game, we got a really good age game coming up too. Hello, Laces. Antarctica is fake. We should do one day. I guess we could parlay it into shade. What justifies shade is like your favorite conspiracy theories that you think about. So like all the Bigfooters out there, I can't wait to make fun of you for that. But conspiracy theories, we should do that one day. I'd be curious because I've never really heard Antarctica is fake. Have you?
I have no.
See, Hello Ladies just brought a brand new conspiracy.
Yeah, man. All right, I was about to nerd out on you for a second. But I'll tell you after the show. So I'll hide that a little bit. All right, it is now time for the age game. Zach, you say we got a fun age game coming. Let's do it in a second. But first, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Make them a part of your new car buying process. So go see them in Lebanon. Say, hey, Pain Bone while you're out there. Get a great ride. Save some money because you're not paying the downtown prices in Lebanon, Tennessee with Wilson County Hyundai. The Palisade, the Sonata, all the other great offers and models that Wilson County Hyundai has for you. Check it out right there online, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Zach, my chat is hidden. It is now time for the age game. Hit us with what you got today.
Okay, so when I think, I'll ask you this question. When you think about a Cincinnati sports fan, who's the first person that you think of?
A sports fan?
Yeah, that loves the Reds and loves the Bengals. Because we've been talking about Cincinnati all show long. So I was like,
Yeah.
I got to justify it. For me, there's really only one person that exemplifies the super Cincinnati sports fan. And that particular person is our age game guest. Okay. And
Okay.
that particular person is superstar and lead singer of 98 Degrees, Nick Lachey. How old is Nick Lachey? Nick Lachey, known Reds fan, known Bengals fan. That is our question. How old is Nick Lachey?
What year was this picture? Is this the recent picture?
No comment.
Oh, man. 98 Degrees was in the Backstreet Boys NSYNC era, which was around 2000, 2001. He was probably 20-ish. I never watched his shows.
Oh, you never watched? He was married to Jessica Simpson, right?
I never watched. I forget what it was called.
Yeah, I forget what it was called. I watched every episode.
Nick and Jessica. You would.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, he's the host of Love Is Blind. You talk about the show that's hilarious.
I don't watch that either.
And for all the Love Is Blind out there, what is Jimmy gonna do when Jimmy sees Jessica on Wednesday night?
That's the one where like that's the one where the concept is interesting. It's where you can't see the person, you just get to know them based off of their personalities.
Right. Here's the problem is this episode or this season, Jimmy's choosing between Jessica and Chelsea. Chelsea in the pod says that some of her friends think that she looks like who is it? MGK's wife or girlfriend. Do you know who that is? No. Machine Gun Kelly's
I know him,
wife or girlfriend. Megan Fox. She said she looked like, and let me just tell you, Chelsea don't look like Megan Fox. So he picks Chelsea, and Jessica is the attractive one. And so, like, it's been pretty good. So Nick Lachey and his wife host Love Is Blind. So how old is Nick Lachey? And then we'll go back and we'll find that age.
I'm going to say Nick Lachey is 44 years old.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Little young. He's not that young. Brad goes with 45. That was going to be my
second guess. Yeah.
Steven says 43. That's too young. Orlando goes 48, getting closer. Ashley, no soup for you with 45. Tress goes 39, too young. He's not 39 years old.
That would have made him like 14 with 98 degrees.
Yeah. American Toff goes with 51, which is the closest we've had so far, but too old right there. Yeah. Lou Man goes 54 wrong. Jay is wrong. Patrick is wrong. David is wrong. Jay is wrong. And we have our winner. Brock Kraft. Gotta be 50. Gotta be 50. Nick Lachey is 50 years old, the lead singer of 98 Degrees. He's got that 98 tribal sun tattoo on his shoulder, which is a bold move, right? Yeah. I don't know if he's gotten that response, but or removed. Brock, you are our champion. Congratulations, Brock. And here's the problem: this is right before we're going to start our big board, but you're not going to leave empty-handed, Brock, because we're going to do something for you we don't do for really anybody, to be honest. This is a special occasion because Brock Kraft, you are going to get 40% off our merch. You should go there. I've gone in. I've changed all of the numbers. It's 40% off. Shop.A2Zsports.com. You can get yourself a t-shirt. You can get yourself a hat. long sleeve shirt. Hey, short sleeve shirt. That'd look really good now that it's starting to warm up. Brock, congratulations. 50 is the answer. You're too low.
Well, I thought boy band he would be 20, like in 19 or in 2000, but he was an older boy band.
Yeah, he was an older boy. He was like Kevin from the Backstreet Boys, who had the goatee.
Yeah, Kevin was hanging around with like 18-year-old, 19-year-olds, Backstreet Boys, and he was like 26.
Nobody talks about Kevin enough. Is the man or like Joey Fatone. Joey was an older man, like
was he? Hey, it's about making the money though. I don't care. He made a lot of money from that stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the problem is that some of these like boy band people, like Nick has gone on and at least had like somewhat of a career, right, hosting. Some of them are like still trying to do like bad carnival shows that are like Justin Timberlake's not there and there's 3 out of the NSYNC guys and it's the worst ones.
They're still trying to like do carnival cruises, like, shows, living their 25-year-old.
Yeah, that a little cringe. So but Nick Lachey, 50 years young.
Man, I haven't won an age game in a long time. I'm waiting for March. I'm saving all my bullets for March when we hit the reset button. But all right, guys, that'll do it for us. Make sure you hit that like button. We've got way more people watching that have hit the like button so far. So hit that like button. It goes a long way for us, a long way. Please do that now. Sam will be live for Titans at 2 before he heads out to the NFL Combine. Maybe he'll talk about what isn't sore from his Nashville Cats tryout this weekend. And then Buck Rising live tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime. Tons of Combine coverage coming throughout the week. Later in the week, we'll catch you guys tomorrow on a Tuesday. Appreciate it as always.